you're suspecting some severe disease, and you have taken her for operative treatment. After dealing with the endometrioma, you should deal with the peritoneal adhesions and peritoneal implants without fail. If your tubal patency is good, the tubes are functionally looking normal, then you must treat this peritoneal implant, because that will increase your spontaneous conception rate, that will increase your IVF success rate. But if you are not doing anything and you are not sure about the tubal status, and if the anatomy is disturbed, you can go for IVF straight away. But you must look into a sonography picture that those ovaries are accessible while ovum pickup or not. If the ovaries are not accessible for the ovum pickup, then you have to go for corrective surgery, laparoscopy, and you have to re-establish the tubal ovarian relation as far as possible. This is another paper which says that in general, in patient with endometriosis associated infertility, surgery followed by IVF ET is more effective than surgery alone. This is an important statement to be registered. Anytime, surgery has no disadvantage. Either it will improve your spontaneous pregnancy or conception rate, or it will not. But it has no disadvantage if it is done properly. When patient fail to conceive spontaneously after the maximum of 1 year, which we have already discussed from laparoscopic surgery, the IVF should be suggested. Now, what about the embryo quality? We have discussed the oocyte quality. What about the embryo quality? Now, here comes the confusion. We all know there are fewer oocytes. We all know because of the fewer oocytes, there are reduced number of the embryos. But surprisingly, there is no difference in the aneuploidy rate as per the recent study. Earlier studies were showing some higher aneuploidy rate in endometriosis, but a very recent reliable study has said that there is no difference in the aneuploidy rate. Another surprising finding is number of the usable blastocysts are same, whether there is endometriosis is there or not there. So there is a quantitative decline in the embryo, but not the qualitative decline, not the increase in the aneuploidy rate. We must remember. So in case of endometriosis may reduce the cumulative pregnancy rate arising from single stimulation, single pickup, but not the live pregnancy, clinical pregnancy rate per clinical pregnancy rate per cycle. Sorry, cumulative pregnancy rate reduce, but not the clinical pregnancy rate per transfer, because the number of the usable blasts are same. But here again, there is one more study which says that it has low pregnancy rate when altered reproductive tract. Now, what do you mean by altered reproductive tract? Adenomyosis. So when there is a coexistent adenomyosis, the pregnancy rate is less. Otherwise, the pregnancy rate per transfer is same, but cumulative pregnancy rate per initiated cycle is reduced. And clear, we need to understand there is a quantitative decline rather than qualitative decline as far as the embryo is concerned. Dr. Bhavna, does endometrioma interfere in implantation? Very important question you ask. Does endometrioma interfere with implantation? Now we all know when we are going to discuss the endometrioma. We will discuss that the approximately 60% of the cases of endometrioma, there is some evidence of adenomyosis. And as far as the implantation is concerned, the adenomyoma or adenomyosis is the main culprit, that doesn't mean that there is no endometrioma, there is no difference in the implantation. Even in the absence of adenomyoma, still the implantation rate is little less as compared to a tubal factor, but still in severe endometriosis, deep pelvic endometriosis, endometrioma, there is a very high rate of very high percentage of association of adenomyosis along with them, 50 to 70, 80%. So because of that, there is a reduced implantation rate. Dr. Megshri, age limit to post patient for IVF following endometriotic surgery, according to ICMR age should be 23 to go ahead with IVF or ICSI. Age limit to post patient for IVF following endometriotic surgery, according to ICMR guidelines, age should be 23 to go ahead. No, that is, I don't think if the ovarian reserve is adequate, you must try for 1 year after surgery, surgical clearance or proper surgery. And if after 1 year she has not conceived with your IUI treatment or the spontaneous treatment, spontaneous conception, then there is a time to think about the IVF. This is about the post surgery. But hold on, the Donez has written in this editorial comment that the data on impact of endometriosis on IVF results are controversial. And because recent systemic review and meta-analysis by Hamdam et al. Conducted in the severe endometriosis, that is stage 3 and 4, has poorer reproductive outcome. They also found a similar clinical pregnancy rate, live birth rate, and miscarriage rate in women with and without intact endometrioma. So all this game, because such conclusions are creating a lot of confusion, so and doesn't change the treatment. Basically, we must understand that the adenomyosis is responsible for poor implantation primarily, and adhesions and intraperitoneal environment, hostile environment, is responsible for the bad oocyte quality, and endometrioma is responsible for bad oocyte quality directly and indirectly because of the association of the. This is the basic thing which we must misunderstand rather than remembering various contradictory conclusions. The cancellation rate is 3 times higher in women with endometriomas, and moreover, fewer mature oocytes when retrieved, reducing number of the embryos, blah blah, we know. So again, there is a low blastocyst rate as per this study, and follicular fluid, the oxidative stress enzymes are product proteins are more in endometrioma group than non-endometrioma group. So the conclusions to the endometriosis in IVF, the systemic review of 27 studies has concluded that the presence of stage 3 and 4 endometriosis reduces implantation and clinical pregnancy rate as compared to a non-endometriotic woman. And women with stage 1 and 2 endometriosis have low ovarian response, high requirement of the total gonadotropin, and lower percentage of high quality embryos as compared to the non-endometriotic women. But you cannot just differentiate stage 1, 2, 3, 4 completely. So you have to take this conclusion broadly. Whether to give the agonist before IVF, better fertilization, it gives a better fertilization, but there is no significant difference in the implantation. It is shown in this table. So which protocol is better? Which protocol is better? Agonist protocol is better if you are planning for fresh transfer. Otherwise, for frozen transfer, agonist, antagonist protocol, whatever protocol you can take. The fresh transfer with agonist protocol is 25% success rate, clinical pregnancy rate, whereas antagonist 13%, and live birth rate 22% as against 10% with the antagonist. So there is no difference observed between the groups with the freeze-throw embryo transfer, which we are going to discuss later. GnRH agonist protocol appears to result in a higher pregnancy and live birth rate after fresh